My disabled husband threatened divorce if I didn't take in his orphaned nephews, knowing I have PTSD from raising 7 siblings as a kid. Then his face went pale when I agreed. I need to give context. I grew up in a neglectful household where I was forced to raise 7 siblings starting when I was 8 years old. I changed diapers, made meals, did homework help, packed lunches, everything while my parents did absolutely nothing. I've been in therapy for years and I've done the work, but some scars are just permanent. I told my husband from our very first date that I would never be responsible for children again. I even had my tubes removed to make absolutely sure there would never be an accident. He said he completely understood and didn't want kids either. Fast forward 5 years. We've been together for 5, married for 2. I inherited my house from my grandmother and insisted on a prenup before we got married because I watched too many women lose everything in divorces. My husband has myasthenia gravis, which basically means his muscles don't work right. Some days he's totally fine. Other days he can barely get out of bed. He can't hold down a full-time job, so I'm the breadwinner. I make decent money as an accountant and he handles most of the household stuff on his good days. It worked perfectly for us. Then last month his sister was killed by her ex-boyfriend. The ex unalived himself right after. It's absolutely horrific. Her 2 boys, ages 6 and 9, survived only because they were at their grandmother's house when it happened. The problem is there's nowhere for them to go. My mother-in-law has the same condition my husband has. Hers is more advanced, so social services said she can't be their primary guardian. My brother-in-law has serious substance issues and isn't stable. That left us as the only option. My husband came to me 2 weeks after the funeral and said we needed to take the boys in. I told him absolutely not. I explained again about my PTSD, about how I physically cannot live with children without having panic attacks. We got into the worst fight we've ever had. He kept saying their family like that word means something positive to me. Family was the source of all my trauma. I don't believe in that blood relation stuff. That's when he said it. This is make or break. I'm taking those kids with or without you. If you won't do this, I'll divorce you. I just stared at him for a full minute. Then I said, okay, then pack your bags tonight because you're moving out of my house. You'll need to start working 40 hours a week again because I won't be paying for an ex-husband's expenses. And good luck finding affordable housing in this market with your health condition while trying to care for 2 traumatized kids who are going to need therapy and constant attention. His face went completely white. I don't think it had ever occurred to him what divorce would actually mean for him. We'd always just shared everything without thinking about whose money or whose house. The reality hit him all at once that he'd be going from a comfortable life in a paid-off house with financial security to trying to survive on whatever disability assistance he could scrape together while being a single parent to 2 kids with severe trauma. He started backtracking immediately. Wait, I didn't mean it like that. We can figure something out. But I was done. I told him the trust was broken. You don't threaten divorce as a manipulation tactic and then expect to take it back. That's not how this works. His mom called me the next day absolutely screaming about how I was financially abusing her son and abandoning family in their darkest hour. I hung up on her mid-sentence and blocked her number. Then I took a personal day off work, called a divorce attorney, and started getting everything in order. I froze my credit, moved money into a separate account, and called the DHR case manager to let them know I would not be part of any placement plan for those children. My husband spent the next week desperately trying to convince me to change my mind. He moved into the spare bedroom. He promised he'd do absolutely everything for the kids, that I wouldn't have to lift a single finger, but I knew that was completely unrealistic. I'd end up being the primary caretaker because he physically couldn't handle it during his bad weeks, and those kids deserved better than a caretaker who resented their existence. Then 2 weeks after I filed for divorce, we got the call from DHR. They had reviewed his medical records and determined he couldn't be the primary guardian. His condition made him too unreliable for the level of care these traumatized kids needed. Same ruling for his mom. But the case manager had also convinced the paternal grandparents to do a DNA test. Turns out my sister-in-law had been keeping the real father a secret because he was married. The DNA matched and those grandparents agreed to take the boys. My husband moved back in with his mom last week. They're both absolutely furious with me, but honestly I feel lighter than I have in months. I didn't realize how much stress I'd been carrying. The divorce should be final in about 6 weeks. The house is mine, protected by the prenup. We were only married 2 years, so there's no alimony. I'm paying his health insurance for 6 months and that's it.